Have you ever felt that strange ache in your chest when someone pulls away and suddenly the silence feels louder than their presence? Today, we're diving into the one truth most people overlook. When a man misses you, he rarely says it. He shows it in the quiet moments he hopes you don't notice. Because here's something no one tells you. Silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. He's too afraid to speak. A man who misses you doesn't always reach for his phone. Sometimes he retreats. Not because he doesn't care, but because he cares so much, he doesn't know how to handle the weight of his own emotions. In these next minutes, we're going to peel back the layers he keeps hidden, the hesitation, the pauses, the sudden distance that makes you wonder what changed. You're about to understand the truth he's been carrying inside, the longing he doesn't express, the emotions he doesn't name, and the attachment he's been quietly trying to manage. Stay with me. Because once you understand what his silence really means, you'll never doubt his feelings the same way again. This might be the clarity you've been waiting for. From the outside, it's easy to assume men pull back because they're losing interest. But the truth is far more layered and honestly, far more vulnerable than most people expect. When a man starts to feel something deeply, especially something that threatens to touch the parts of him he rarely shares, his instinct is often to retreat, not to reject. And this is where misunderstandings begin. Men are taught, directly or indirectly, to be composed, controlled, and unfazed. So when emotions hit them hard, they don't always know how to process them in real time. Instead of talking through what they feel, they often take space to sort through it alone. Not because they want distance from you, but because they need distance from the intensity inside themselves. And here's where it gets interesting, that silence you're analyzing. It's often him trying to figure out why he misses you so much, why the connection feels stronger than he expected, or why he suddenly feels vulnerable in ways he wasn't prepared for. Most men aren't wired to express emotional overwhelm with words. They express it with withdrawal, pauses, and hesitation. They think, I need to get myself together before I show up again. Meanwhile, you're on the other side wondering if everything has changed. But here's the part most women never hear. When a man goes quiet because he misses you, he's usually fighting the urge to reach out. He's rehearsing what to say. He's checking his emotions like there's something dangerous. He's wondering if you feel the same. And yes, he's thinking about you more than he'll ever admit. So before you assume the silence means he doesn't care, stay with me, because once you understand this internal battle, everything he does next will make perfect sense. When a man starts missing you, something unexpected happens inside him. Something he rarely talks about, even to himself. Instead of leaning in, many men actually pull back. And it's not because the feelings disappear. It's because the feelings arrive stronger than he anticipated. Missing someone activates a part of him that he usually keeps locked away. It makes him feel exposed, uncertain, and even a little out of control. So rather than expressing that longing, he goes silent in an attempt to regain his emotional balance. What most people don't realize is that silence for many men becomes a protective shield. It's a moment where he tries to understand why you're occupying his thoughts so heavily, why he keeps checking his phone, why certain memories replay, why your absence feels louder than your presence ever did. This emotional intensity can be overwhelming, and when men don't know how to handle it, they default to retreating into themselves. But here's where it becomes even more confusing. His silence isn't passive, it's active. Behind the scenes, he's replaying conversations, overthinking his next move, wondering if reaching out will make him seem too eager. He's questioning whether his feelings are mutual, whether he should wait, whether he should protect his heart or take the risk. And all of this happens silently because he doesn't want to reveal how deeply he's affected. His instinct is to hide his vulnerability until he feels safe showing it. That's why men go quiet when they miss you. Not because they don't care, but because they care in a way that shakes their emotional foundation. And once you understand this, his silence becomes less painful and far more revealing. When a man goes silent, it's easy to assume nothing is happening. But silence rarely means nothing. In fact, it often means everything. Men reveal far more in what they don't say than in what they do. And if you pay attention, his quiet moments are filled with emotional signals he can't fully hide. One of the clearest signs is his sudden shift in behavior. He may not be talking to you, but he's watching you more closely than before. He checks your posts. He notices when you're online. He sees who you're interacting with, even if he never engages. His silence is his way of staying connected without exposing his vulnerability. It's the emotional equivalent of standing in the doorway, wanting to enter but hesitating because he's unsure how you'll respond. Another sign is the way he reappears in small, almost invisible ways. He might like an old photo, view your story within seconds, or check in about something minor. These aren't accidents. They're emotional breadcrumbs, subtle attempts to feel close to you without fully stepping forward. And then there's the tension in his energy. Even without words, you can sense when a man is thinking about you. His messages may slow down, but when he does reply, there's a softness, a warmth, a thoughtfulness that wasn't there before. That's his guard cracking open. That's his longing leaking through the silence. Men often communicate through presence. Even when they're physically absent, his silence is full of questions he's afraid to ask and feelings he's trying to restrain. If you listen closely, his quiet moments reveal more truth than any confident words ever could. When a man misses you, he doesn't always make it obvious. Instead, he shows it through tiny, almost unnoticeable behaviors, the kinds of actions you might overlook unless you're paying attention. One of the first signs is that he starts appearing in places he knows you'll notice. He might suddenly become active at the same times you are online, or he'll show up in your notifications in ways that seem casual but are anything but. These small digital footprints are his way of staying close without risking rejection. Another subtle behavior is the way he brings up old moments. Maybe he mentions an inside joke, a shared memory, or something you once told him in passing. He isn't doing this because he's bored. He's doing it because he's revisiting the moments that made him feel connected to you. It's his quiet attempt to rebuild the bridge without admitting he's been thinking about you more than he intended. You'll also notice a shift in how he pays attention. He remembers details he didn't seem to catch before. He reacts quickly to anything you post that hints at change, especially if it involves another person. His curiosity spikes, and he may ask questions that circle around what he really wants to know. Are you still emotionally available? Then there's his sudden effort to improve himself. He might work out more, dress differently, or subtly highlight his accomplishments. This isn't about impressing the world. It's about being the version of himself he hopes you'll want to come back to. These behaviors don't scream, "I miss you," but they whisper it over and over. And if you know how to read those whispers, you'll see exactly where his heart is leaning. There's a huge difference between a man being silent and a man emotionally withdrawing, and understanding that difference can save you from a lot of unnecessary worry. Silence on its own is often temporary. It's a pause, a moment of internal processing, a mental reset, emotional withdrawal. On the other hand is a shift in connection. It's when he's not just quiet, he's unavailable. When a man is silent because he misses you, there's still energy between you. You can feel it. There's tension, curiosity, unspoken emotion. He may take space, but he's still tuned into you. He watches your updates. He responds when you reach out, even if it takes time. And he shows signs of being emotionally engaged beneath the surface. His silence is him thinking, feeling, overanalyzing, or trying to regroup before he reconnects. Emotional withdrawal feels different. It's colder. He doesn't just pause, he disconnects. His responses feel flat, not thoughtful. He stops showing signs of noticing your presence. His energy disappears, not just his words. When a man withdraws emotionally, you don't feel tension, you feel absence. The tricky part is that these two behaviors can look similar on the surface, but emotionally they're worlds apart. A silent man still has emotional movement happening inside him. His mind is active, his heart is unsettled, and he's still connected to you, whether he admits it or not. A withdrawn man has already removed himself emotionally, even if he still speaks occasionally. The key difference is in the feeling, not the frequency of his communication. Silence holds emotion, withdrawal lacks it. And once you learn to distinguish the two, you'll no longer mistake a man's processing for a loss of interest. In fact, you'll start to see what he's truly trying to hide. Reading between the lines isn't about guessing or overthinking. It's about paying attention to the emotional signals he doesn't realize he's giving off. When a man is silent but still connected to you, there's always something happening beneath the surface. The key is noticing what changes, what stays the same, and what keeps pulling him back toward you even when he isn't speaking. Start with the tone of his rare replies. When he answers you, even after taking time, does he sound warmer than you expected? Does he take a moment to explain himself? Even briefly, that small effort may not feel like much, but it reveals that you still matter to him. Men don't explain themselves to people they're indifferent about. The softness in his words, no matter how subtle, is a thread of emotion he can't hide. Then look at the timing of his interactions. Maybe he reaches out late at night when his guard is down. Maybe he reacts to your posts faster than usual. These moments aren't random. They're windows into what he thinks when he isn't overthinking. Late night messages, quiet check-ins, or unexpected just wondering comments reveal lingering attachment. You can also read between the lines by noticing what he avoids. If he doesn't want to talk about certain topics, like dating, other people, or emotional distance, it's often because those conversations make him vulnerable. Avoidance is itself a signal, not a lack of one. Most importantly, trust the emotional rhythm. His silence might worry you, but if his energy still leans toward you, through eye contact, memories he brings up, small gestures, or the way he reappears just when you're about to move on, that's not detachment. That's longing wrapped in hesitation. When you learn to read these subtle cues, you won't need loud declarations. His quiet actions will tell you everything. When a man becomes quiet, the biggest danger isn't his silence, it's your reaction to it. Most of the misunderstandings, conflicts, and emotional distance that follow don't come from his pause, but from how you interpret it. One of the most common mistakes is assuming the silence means he's losing interest. When you jump to conclusions, you often react from fear, not clarity. That fear can lead to over-messaging, pushing for answers, or trying to fix something that isn't actually broken. Another mistake is filling the silence with pressure. Asking him repeatedly what's wrong, why he's distant, or whether he still cares can overwhelm him even more. Remember, many men pull back to process, not to punish. When you demand emotional clarity before he's ready to give it, you unintentionally close the door instead of opening it. A third mistake is mirroring his withdrawal in a way that becomes emotional retaliation. Going cold, posting for attention, or trying to make him jealous may feel empowering in the moment, but it usually creates deeper confusion and makes him retreat further. Silence shouldn't become a battlefield of egos. You should also avoid assuming the worst. When you mentally script negative narratives, he doesn't care, he's talking to someone else, it's over. You create emotional distance that wasn't there. Your mindset shifts your energy, and he will feel that shift even if nothing is said. Lastly, don't abandon your own life waiting for him to return. Putting everything on pause sends the message that your world revolves around his attention. Confidence and self-focus are far more magnetic than anxiety-driven reactions. When you avoid these common mistakes, his silence becomes a moment of space, not a signal of loss. And often giving him the room to breathe is exactly what brings him back stronger. When a man becomes quiet, how you respond can either pull him closer or push him further away. Confidence and grace are the two qualities that turn his silence into a space for connection instead of confusion. The first step is managing your own emotions. Instead of panicking or overanalyzing, remind yourself that his quiet doesn't define your worth. When you remain calm, composed, and self-assured, you create an energy that naturally draws him toward you. Men notice when a woman holds her own emotional power without needing validation. Next, choose your communication carefully. Respond with clarity, warmth, and intentionality rather than desperation. Short, thoughtful messages that acknowledge him without pressuring him signal that you respect both his space and your own. Avoid flooding him with calls or texts, because that can trigger more withdrawal. Subtlety communicates strength, while desperation communicates insecurity. Grace also comes in how you carry yourself offline. Focus on your life, your passions, and your happiness. When he sees that you're living fully without clinging to his attention, your presence becomes magnetic. You're no longer chasing, you're inviting. Finally, use moments of silence to reflect on the dynamic without assigning blame. Confidence paired with grace allows you to respond from a place of understanding instead of fear. It sends a quiet but powerful message. I respect your space, I value myself, and I'm here when you're ready. When you respond this way, his silence stops being a source of anxiety and starts being a tool for deeper emotional connection. It's the difference between chasing him and letting him naturally gravitate toward you. Silence doesn't have to create distance. It can actually deepen your connection if you know how to navigate it. When a man goes quiet, it's often because he's processing emotions, fears, or desires he isn't ready to put into words. Instead of letting that silence create anxiety, you can use it as an opportunity to strengthen the bond between you. The first step is patience. Giving him space shows that you trust him and respect his process. This simple act communicates more than constant messaging ever could. It says, I see you, I value you, and I'm not controlling your feelings. At the same time, maintaining your own energy is key. Focus on your passions, friendships, and goals. When he sees that you're living fully and confidently, his curiosity and attraction naturally increase. A man is drawn to a woman who is emotionally grounded, not someone who is dependent on his every word. Your life doesn't pause for his silence, it shines through it. You can also subtly reinforce connection through meaningful gestures, small acts of thoughtfulness, like remembering shared memories or sending a light-hearted message that makes him smile. Remind him of your bond without pressure. The goal isn't to force conversation but to create emotional touchpoints that keep him connected. Finally, when he does re-engage, respond with openness and warmth rather than judgment. Celebrate the fact that he returned rather than scrutinizing why he left. This reinforces trust and safety, which are the foundations of lasting intimacy. When handled correctly, silence transforms from a source of doubt into a powerful tool for emotional closeness. It becomes the space where longing grows, understanding deepens, and connection strengthens naturally, without force, without panic, and without losing your own sense of self. As we wrap up this video, it's essential to take a step back and understand the deeper meaning behind a man's silence. Many women automatically assume that when he stops communicating, it signals disinterest, rejection, or even a lack of feelings. But the reality is often far more nuanced. A man's quiet moments usually reveal a complex inner world, a mixture of longing, uncertainty, emotional intensity, and sometimes even fear of vulnerability. His silence can be a reflection of him trying to process his emotions, understand his own heart, or determine how best to express feelings that he finds difficult to articulate. Recognizing this is the first step toward responding in a way that strengthens your connection rather than creating unnecessary distance. The next step is focusing on yourself. Your reactions, energy, and emotional stability matter more than you may realize. Instead of chasing after him, fixating on his silence, or attempting to extract answers from him, invest that energy into your own life. Prioritize your passions, hobbies, friendships, and personal growth. When you live fully and confidently, it sends a subtle but powerful signal. You are whole on your own, yet open to connection. This balance is magnetic. Men are naturally drawn to women who carry their own emotional strength and don't rely on constant validation. At the same time, learn to observe the subtle signs he gives, no matter how small. His gestures, timing, and consistency reveal more than words ever could. Does he check in even when he's busy? Does he reference shared memories or inside jokes? Does he reappear in small but meaningful ways? These are clues that his silence doesn't mean detachment, it's a signal of internal processing. Recognizing these signs allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, turning potentially confusing silence into an opportunity for deeper emotional connection. Responding with confidence and grace is key. Simple, intentional messages, a warm tone, and patience go a long way. Avoid over-communicating, pressuring, or testing him, as these behaviors often backfire. Instead, demonstrate emotional intelligence and self-assurance. Give him space while subtly reinforcing your bond through authenticity, presence, and meaningful gestures. The combination of patience, self-respect, and understanding creates a safe environment where he feels comfortable expressing his emotions naturally. Finally, embrace the idea that meaningful connections take time. Silence, when navigated wisely, can act as a bridge rather than a wall. It can give both of you the room to reflect, strengthen emotional bonds, and deepen understanding. By trusting the process, maintaining your own emotional center, and responding with awareness, you transform moments of quiet into opportunities for lasting intimacy. Remember, his silence is not the end. It's an invitation to read between the lines, act with wisdom, and cultivate a connection built on patience, respect, and mutual care.